Hi, welcome to another exciting episode of the Andre The Beast Crayton Show. Another exciting show, another exciting guest with Mr. Dan Giancola on the show, who's going to basically take us down his life journey and how he keeps that beast mindset. So, without further ado, let's welcome to the show, Mr. Dan Giancola to the show. How you doing, big guy?
I'm doing great, buddy. Thank you so much for having me on the show, bro. It's an absolute honor and a privilege. Thank you.
You know, with the name Giancola, that's definitely Italian.
Yes, sir. Italian heritage.
So Dan, tell me a little bit about who you are. You got a great story and stuff and Italian heritage, but who exactly is Dan?
Somebody actually asked me this a couple of podcasts ago, and I think the best way to describe it is somebody who just wants to help motivate, inspire people. I mean, that's in a nutshell. That's how you describe me. That's the way I was brought up. My mom and dad brought up myself and my two other brothers, Tino and Joe, the same way, man. We have a hard time accepting, but we absolutely love to give. And to describe us, describe our family, to describe me, I think the inspiring part for me to motivate people, to help people. I mean, that's kind of like the description of myself, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm. Your career, did it? Where were you born and raised? Because you have a Italian heritage. Are you? What part of the country were you raised in, or the city were you raised in?
So I'm a dual citizen. I was born here in Canada. My mom is from Niagara Falls, New York. She came over here when she was 18 years old. So as for myself and my brothers, we were able to get our American citizenship. My dad's from Italy. He came over here when he was, I believe, 6 or 8 years old with his brother. And my grandparents of my mom's side are both from Italy. So that's pretty much I was born here in Canada, have my dual citizenship. My dad's from Italy. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
You wind up playing professional ball. How did that take place in your life? How did professional football become a part of your resume?
I God rest my dad's soul. He always told people when I was 3 years old, I was a real late walker. And the story as it goes is there was a red ball that rolled across the floor. And apparently I finally got up and I shot up to go chase this thing. And I started kicking it. So soccer was actually my first love.
Right.
I grew up as a soccer player. I played with the regional team for 3 years. I was the captain of that team. I went to the Ontario team, and then I had
Mhm.
the opportunity to represent my country, Canada, soccer for a year. And then one day, I was at high school, my very first year, grade 9. One of my best friends came up to me and said to me, "Hey," he said, that we're looking for a kicker. I said, "For what?" He goes, "For football." I said, "Man, I've never even seen the game played." That's the God honest truth. I have never seen the game even played before. He said,
Right.
"All you got to do is just kick the ball between some posts. Come on out." So I go out, and again, I'm making a real long story short because I know we only have 30 minutes. I go out, and I kick my first football. He holds the football. He looks at me, and he says, "Man, all I want you to do is when I scream hike, just kick the ball between the uprights." So
Okay.
the coach initially gave me an orange tee, which ended up being the kickoff tee, and then the black
Right.
tee, which was my field goal tee. Not only did I grab the wrong tee, but I put it upside down with the prongs into the ground. He grabs the ball and he says to me, he goes, "Hike." Snap the ball, I'll put it down, and I hammer this thing. We were about 45 yards out. Now I had more than enough leg. The ball cruised right through the end zone, but I didn't go through the
Right.
uprights. Well, I don't know how it is in the States where there's junior varsity. I don't know how they do it. Over here, it's a junior team, senior team.
Right.
I was trying out for the junior team. Next thing I know, I hear somebody scream at me from the sideline, and he goes, "Hey, Kumba!" In Italian, that's a word of endearment to say, "Hey, buddy," kind of thing. I turn around
Right.
and I look at him, and he says to me, "Hey, move back." So I look at my best friend, and he says to me, I said to him, I said, "Who the hell's that?" He says, "That's the senior coach." So we
Wow.
moved the ball back. We're about 55 yards, 50 yard. Yeah, I think we were 55 yards back. Next thing you know, same thing. Hike. He puts it down. And again, Dre, it went if this is the uprights, it went
Yeah.
just to the outside of the uprights, and it still carried through the end zone.
Right.
He said, "Come here, come here." So I come over there. He says, "How many years you been kicking the football?" I said, "Well, give or take 2 minutes." That's it. Next thing you know, he pulled me over to the senior side, and again, I'm making a real long story short. He had me kick an extra point. He looks at me and he says, "You're my extra point guy." He had me kick
Wow.
a 30-yard field goal. He said, "You're my field goal guy." And the next
Right.
thing you know, he said to me, "Do me a favor, do a kickoff." And I just looked at him. I go, "So what am I supposed to do? Like kick the ball between the uprights?" He goes, "From here?" I said, "I don't know." Anyway, I put my head down. I ended up hitting the crossbar. First one ever.
Wow.
And next thing you know, man, he says to me, "Welcome to the senior football team." And I'm like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa!" Like, time out, man. Like, I honestly just came out for the junior team to make my
Right.
buddy happy. That's it. If my dad finds out that I'm here right now, he's going to kill
Right.
me. Sure enough,
Really?
he said to me, "If I talk to your dad and he agrees to it, would you come play?" And I said, "I guess so." Grade 9, 10, 11, 12, and then in my time, there was a grade 13. So I did 5 years senior football, and I was blessed to win 5 championships with that team. So that's how it all
Wow.
started for me. Now I could carry from there, but it's your show. I don't want to screw anything up.
No, I mean that is crazy, and it's even. I had no idea the high school went to 13 to grade
Yeah.
13. In the States, it's like 12. You're done, but you wind up having a great high school career. Now you're getting ready for college, and I'm taking the viewers through the success, and then I'm gonna take them to the tragic parts of it and how you overcame that. So you wind up getting how soon did it take you to get noticed for colleges? Because you got to go somewhere before you get to the pros.
So I went to in Canada anyway. We had our high school evaluation camp. So what they did
Okay.
was they took standout athletes, football in this case, and we went to where the Hamilton Tiger Cats play, the Canadian Football League, which is give or take about 40 minutes from here, from where I live right now. So I went there 2 years in a row. I went in grade 12 and 13. I had letters of, I guess you could say intent, sort of say, from,
Hmm.
oh my goodness, man, probably every Canadian university sent me a letter. From the
Mm.
States, I can honestly say to you, because I remember seeing them like it was yesterday, Penn State, University of Miami, Florida State, Notre Dame, Nebraska. And I know I'm missing two more. But anyway, so I had all these letters. And unfortunately for me, and I'm being honest with you, man, because you're going to learn very quickly with me. I'm a very honest, very, I just wear my emotions. I might end up crying on this podcast, so you never know. But
Okay. Okay.
um, next thing you know, came the time to make a decision on whether or not I wanted to write my SATs.
Okay.
That was to get into the States. Unfortunately, I didn't have the marks. And that's the God honest truth. I was a
Okay.
C, 65% student. I had a very hard time focusing. I was always daydreaming in class, especially when there was things that I just wasn't interested in.
Okay.
And people labeled me as, ADD, ADHD. I remember going to my guidance counselor and he said to me, "Hey, listen, man, I'm going to be honest with you. I know you have all these dreams and aspiration. At the time, it wasn't really for football, but football was showing me all the interest." And he
Right.
said to me, he said, "Man, listen," he said, I don't, your best bet is to get a trade." And honestly, in
Mm.
my day, Dre, if somebody said get a trade, they were basically saying that you weren't intelligent enough to keep going to school. So, go take a trade.
Hmm.
You're never going to amount to anything. So fast forward, I ended up having to play minor league football. So I played in Buffalo with a semi-pro team called the Buffalo Gladiators. That's
Okay.
where I actually started for me. Now, again, I'm skipping so much. Everything I wrote like in depth is in my book. But outside of that, like just talking to you now, when I went to my first free agent camp, which was in 1993, I went out for the Toronto Argonauts.
Okay.
And I was amongst all these university guys. These guys were wearing these big rings. There was one guy there that was a former kicker. I think he won the Grey Cup with the Edmonton Eskimos. He still wanted to play. And I just remember sitting there listening to these guys. Oh, man, you know what? I just boomed an 83-yard field goal last week. And I was just absorbing all of it. And at one point, I was thinking to myself, what am I doing here? I got high school. What am I doing here?
Right.
Long story short, I went 21 for 21 in field goals. Nick Volpe, the head of scouting, got us all together. There was 30 of us. I remember him saying, "Guys, who do you think was the best field goal kicker here?" And by the grace of God, everybody pointed at me. And I was speechless. I was speechless.
Right.
I stayed afterwards. He asked me to
Wow.
stay afterwards. And he said to me, "Danny, that was amazing. And we're looking to possibly bring a kicker to camp outside of the two guys that we got." Man, I'm excited. I'm excited. I said to him, he said to me, he said, "You got any game film?" I said, "I got some high school." He says, "Well, where'd you play college ball?" I said, "No, sir." I said, "I never played college football."
Right.
And he just looked at me with this blank look on his face. And he said, "Danny, I'll call you." I get in the car. At the time, I never had no cell phones. It was 1993. I don't even remember did we even had cell phones in 1993? But
Yeah, we had cell phones.
okay, well, I know I didn't have one. So I ran to the nearest phone booth
Right.
and I didn't have any money. And there was a gentleman that was walking down the sidewalk, and I said, "Man, do you have a quarter? I need to call my mom." And
Right.
he's like, "Yeah, I can give you a quarter." He gives me a quarter. I put it in there. "Mom, you're not going to believe this, Mom. I just tried out with the Argonauts. I think I'm going to training camp."
Right.
A week goes by, 2 weeks go by. And again, I'm skipping so much to try to get this all in for you.
No, take
I
your time.
remember, I remember going back to my college prof, the guy who actually set me on this path. And he said to me, "How did it go?" I said, "Man, I lit it up." I said, "But he said he was going to call me back." He says, "Well, how long ago?" I said, "It's been a couple of weeks." "Why don't call him?" I called him on the phone and he said to me, "Danny, sorry I didn't get back to you. I'm going to just be honest with you." I said, "Yes, sir." Without college experience, without film, you have absolutely no chance to play pro football.
Wow.
So I made a decision. I went to play semi pro football in Buffalo, like I said. My uncle would videotape my game. And then at the end of the year, my girlfriend, now my wife, did all the stats for me.
Hmm.
And then I just thought, well, they want game film. They want experience, but it's not college. And I understand that. Hey, Drake, the most I played from in semi-pro. When I say to you, we were playing in the hood, especially in
Mhm.
Buffalo, Rochester, Syracuse. You were playing
Yeah.
on fields where the uprights were this way and turned sideways. It was half grass, half stone. Um,
Yeah.
man, so I mean, you're when I say you're playing for the love of the game, you're playing
You're
for the
playing
love
the
of the
right.
game. We would
You didn't have
practice
high
on.
school. You didn't have any Danny, you didn't have any high school footage?
I had one kick. It was a 58-yard field goal that I made. One kick. That's all I had. Because
Okay.
we didn't really do this. It's not like I've had the privilege to go to schools in the States and talk to the kids, and man, they're sitting in meetings. I'm sitting there, I'm like, what? I mean, you showed up to practice, you practiced for a couple hours, you
Yeah.
worked out a few plays, and that was high school football when I played.
Right.
It's not like it is in the States. So I had a lot to learn really fast, like really fast.
Mhm.
And so I ended up going, again, I'm going to fast forward the whole thing for you now. I went to 131 free agent camps over the span of 6 years. Out of
Wow.
131 free agent camps, and I'm going to ask you this, and I want you to just spitball it to me, okay? Out of 131 free agent camps, how many times do you think I got a phone call back? Could be 10, 20, 100, whatever. What do you think?
Maybe 10?
Zero. Not one. I went
Really?
number one, 130 of 131 times. And nobody would ever give me a chance. I can't tell
Why
you
do you
how many times. What's that?
why do you think that is? I mean, you're good at your craft. So what do you think now that
Because
you're
the
looking
bottom
back on
line
it, what do
was,
you think it was?
the bottom line though was, Andre, is, and I understand now, I really, really, truly do. I think at the end of the day, I kind of wanted to, there was something deep inside of me that wanted to prove them wrong.
Mhm.
But in all honesty, man, for me, it came down to kicking under pressure, kicking the game winning field goal when it counted, and when you're playing in front of 20, 25 people, in some cases, man, when it started pouring rain, it was us against them. That was it. And the refs, you
Mhm.
know? So I understood that aspect of it. But for me, it was like every scout I talked to, they all said the same thing. They're like, man, like, you're a kicker. It's not you got to learn a system. You either can put it between the posts or you can't.
Okay. Yeah.
So after 130 tries, and again, I don't know how much time we have here, so I don't really know where to go from this. So
You
I'm
tried
going to
that
leave it
many
up to you.
times. You tried that many times. What changed the narrative for you?
So for me, what it came down to was in 1998, I signed a contract, and a lot of people don't know this. And again, a lot of people, the only way they're finding out is through my book. That's pretty much it. I actually signed a contract with the Saskatchewan Roughriders in the CFL. So next thing you know, it was all over the papers. People were talking about this guy who never gave up. He's 28 years old. Yada yada yada. I'll never forget the headlines in a paper. Have leg will travel. Dan Giancola is traveling off to greener pastures. And that's what
Wow.
Saskatchewan's known as, you know.
Mhm.
Next thing you know, I'm getting on the plane, saying bye to my girlfriend, again, at the time, my girlfriend, now wife. And as I get on the plane, I'm sitting on the plane, just like I'm sitting here right now. I hear passenger Dan Giancola, please come off the plane. Like, please come to the front of the plane. So I'm thinking, man, damn, like, is there something in my bag? Like, did I do something wrong? Like, I get to the front and they said, Mr. Giancola, would you please do me a favor? Could you please make your way back to boarding? And I said, I got to go to Saskatchewan. He says, please, they'll explain it to you there. Well, I had my cell phone with me. And apparently I left it on silent. I didn't realize it.
Hmm.
So the general manager, Dan Rambo of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, said, Dan, we no longer need your service. The kicker, Paul McCallum, is coming back from the World League.
Wow.
Jay, you cannot put into words how your heart literally gets ripped out of your chest. Literally gets ripped out of your chest. I'm driving home, and at the time I was a grocery clerk because I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I just wanted
Right.
to play football. That was it. I looked at my wife and I said to her, my, again, girlfriend at the time, I said, babe, I know you want to get married. I have a really hard time going to your father saying, hey, I want to marry your daughter, and one day I want to play professional football. It was embarrassing to me. I said, but give me one more year. Give me one more year. If it doesn't happen, I got this far. She looks at me and she says to me, I'm with you. Just promise me
Wow.
that this will be it. And I said, okay. So next thing you know, the next year comes, and well, I got to actually step back for you to understand. I get home. When I get home, I go immediately the next day to my semi-pro practice because I wanted to keep playing. The guys all
Right.
looked at me and they're like, hey, man, what are you doing here? I thought you said you were playing pro football. I explained in the situation. And it broke my heart, bro. It broke my heart because I thought if anybody would understand, my boys are going to understand.
Yeah.
And they all looked at me as if I was lying. And that was tough. That was tough. I get home. I had a brutal night's sleep. I figure I might as well go back to school. I grab my books. I go to school. It's probably about 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And I go work out upstairs in the mezzanine at the college.
Right.
Next thing you know, man, 4 or 5 hours have passed. I walk down the stairs and I see the college prof putting this poster on the wall. And it caught my attention. And I thought to myself, man, well, what is that? I go take a shower. I come back out, and just before I'm ready to leave. I walk over to the billboard thing, and it says, and I quote word for word, 1 in 100,000 student athletes will ever play a professional sport, so stay in school.
Wow.
1 in 100,000 student athlete. I'm not even a
Mm.
student athlete.
Mm.
I immediately ripped that poster off the wall. I rolled it up, and I made my way down the hall. I had to get out of there. I race home. I get home. I sit at the end of my bed, just like I did after every single one of those free agent camps, where I would sit down at the end of my bed. I would look at this poster that my wife bought me, and it was entitled Determination. It's not whether you
Hmm.
get knocked down, but rather if you get back up again.
Right.
I grabbed this poster. I went over to my desk on the side of my bed. I grabbed some tape. I put up this poster right beside the poster. And I thought to myself, maybe they're right. Maybe it is just a stupid dream. My friends gave up on me.
Take your
Some of
time.
my
Take your time.
family, some of my
Take your
family
time.
were talking behind my back. And all I could think of is why everybody would just hated on me so bad, because my dream doesn't affect you. It only affects
Right.
me.
Right.
And I remember sitting at the end of the bed crying. And I just remember again thinking to myself, maybe everybody's right. I don't know. Everybody always asks me to explain this, and I can't. I got up and I walked over to the desk and I grabbed the black Sharpie. And I was standing in front of the poster. And then something came to me. I don't know if it was like God speaking through me. I really don't know. I just remember, why does it always have to be someone else? Why not me?
Right.
And I was a huge Bon Jovi fan at the time. So the first thing that came to my mind was, why Bon Jovi?
Right.
I mean, yeah, he's a great musician. He made the best of an opportunity. Good looking guy, great talent. Why can't it be me? Why not me? I read this poster one more time after reading it 4 or 5 times. Why does it always? It's so hard. I read that poster one more time, and I just remember saying to myself, I can do this. I grabbed the marker. I read it, 1 in 100,000 student athletes will ever play professional sports, so stay in school. I grabbed the marker and I put a big X through 1 in 100,000, and I wrote, be that one. What you
Wow.
see behind me right here, the BTO, which
Mhm.
is my fitness studio, you see the X going through it. I had a
Mhm.
designer actually have me do the marker through that. And hence where I got my clothing apparel. But it was the 3 most powerful words that I've ever spoken. And I made a promise to myself right there. I'm not going to stop until somebody gives me a chance. From there,
Man.
the following year, I went out to Cocoa Beach, Florida. I tried out for the Iowa Barnstormers. The quarterback, I'm having a stroke moment. I really, truly am. Sometimes I forget. He won the Super Bowl with the Rams.
Kirk Warner?
There you go. Grocery clerk, but he went to university also to play. I went out there and I remember kicking for them. And I went 24 of 25 in field goals. The coach asked me and he said to me, Danny, listen, you've already made the team. I just need you to do a kickoff for me. I was thinking to
Mm.
myself, oh my God. Oh my God. I line up, my leg goes through the ball, and all of a sudden, tear. I tore up my groin, my hip flexor, something fierce. He said to me, if you can
What?
patch this thing, yeah. He said, if you can patch yourself together by, I think it was like April, May, something like that, we'll bring you to camp.
Right.
I get back to the hotel. There's 27 messages on my phone. It was my mom and my agent. I called my mom. I said, what's going on? I really don't want to talk right now. She goes,
Right.
your agent is trying to call you. You need to call him now. I call him on the phone. I say, what's happening? He says to me, hey, you're bleeding blue. I said, what are you talking about? I'm bleeding blue, man. I said, I'm in so much pain right now. I don't want to play with this. What's going on?
Right.
He said to me, come home. We're going to put you on a plane. You just signed with the Toronto Argonauts. I said,
What?
I was, so I guess they were so impressed by all the years of me going to this free agent camp, which was probably 15 to 20, 25 times, just that team alone. They finally said, give this guy a chance. I fly home. I can barely walk. I had my doctor give me a shot just to kind of freeze that area for me because I was in so much pain.
Right. Right.
I walked in, I signed the contract, and within 3 months, I didn't kick one football. In 3 months, I did not kick one football. I go to training camp with nothing. I beat out their number one kicker. He was the first round draft pick of the 1998 draft. I beat out their current kicker, Noel Prefontaine, from the year before. So he stayed on as a punter. I was the field goal kicker. Again, I'm going to fast forward to this real quick. Game 3, I remember going to the media guy and I said, man, I had a dream last night. He said, what was your dream? I said, you ain't going to believe it if I tell you. I said, I kicked the game-winning field goal. He looks at me and he says to me, bro, if you do that with your story, your life will never be the same again. No time left on the clock. I kicked the game-winning field goal, a 42-yard field goal from the right hash.
What?
My life was never the same again, man. I kicked the game winner in game 6. I led the league in points. I led the league in most field goal attempts. I was up for Rookie of the Year, Canadian Player of the Year, and Special Teams Player of the Year, and I never won one. And I'll be honest with you, to this day, I don't even care. The fact that I was a grocery clerk with only semi-professional football under my belt, and to be in that position was mind-boggling. 2000, I signed with the Buffalo Bills. I went to training camp with the Buffalo Bills. I had 7 NFL teams after that season. I had the Baltimore Ravens, Washington Redskins, also known now as the Washington Commanders, the Giants, the Jets, the 49ers, the Buffalo Bills, and I don't know if I said the Dallas Cowboys. I had offers by all those teams. Buffalo Bills made it very clear. We've seen you at least 6-7 times come here and kick for us.
Right.
No workout, just a physical, and we'll sign you to the contract. Done. I went to training camp with the Buffalo Bills. Steve Christie was the kicker. And again, I'm making a real, he was a good guy. Flutie played for the Argonauts, so Flutie was my guy when I went there. He kind of took me under the wing, it's a different animal. The Canadian Football League, the cameras are in your face when you show up, to the games and, the practices. But I had a camera in my face everywhere I went because everybody wanted to know about, the grocery clerk turned pro. It was just insane. They had the Rob
What was
Johnson.
it like for you to be under? Yeah, let me ask you a question real quick, Danny. What was it like to be with Doug Flutie? Because, he's more known for Canadian football in the Hail Mary throw. But you guys, what was that like for him to come and approach you?
Oh, it was surreal, man. He met me literally right at the door. Now, I don't know if that was planned. I just remember I walked in, I had my bag in the hand, and I knew him right away. He came out to me. He goes, "Hey, buddy, how you doing?" He goes, "Doug Flutie." I said, "I know who you are, man." And he gave me a huge hug. And he said, "Man, I'm going to give you some advice. The guys from the Argonauts called me and told me that you're really nervous." He goes, "To be honest with you, the hype is different, but playing the game is still the same. And if you can actually realize that, you're going to be all right." And that really stuck with me. From there, I met Wade Phillips. He immediately let me know right there that I wasn't there to make the Buffalo Bills. I was there to push Steve Christie. That destroyed me. Because I'm going to be honest with you, Andre, and this is the God honest truth, I never wanted to go to the NFL, man.
Really?
I had the year of my life in Toronto. The year of my life. The only reason why I went was because the media was building up the hype. The guys in the locker room were building up the hype. They were calling me, and next thing you know, I see it on TSN and ESPN, and I'm thinking, maybe I need to do this. Like maybe I
Mm-hmm.
actually do. Maybe I owe it to myself.
Mm-hmm.
And was it the wrong decision? Hell no. I mean, hell no. It was an experience that there are guys who play college football their whole life and they're standouts, and they get one
Mm-hmm.
shot. And if they mess
Right.
that one shot up, they're done.
Right.
Here's a guy who, high school, semi-pro, we paid to play. We taped the number on our jerseys. My helmet was my first year helmet for the Buffalo Gladiators was from a young kid because I couldn't afford it. The bar was like this close to my face. Like I couldn't afford to play, you know? So to have that opportunity in Buffalo, what ended up happening was Sports Illustrated did some article and it said, forget about the quarterback controversy. We now have the kicking controversy. And that was the nail in the coffin for me. Wade Phillips called me down. He told me to bring my playbook. I had no idea what that meant at the time. And next thing you know, he said to me, and I'll tell you, Jay, this was probably one of the best compliments I ever got from not only a coach, but I think just in general. He said to me, Danny, I wish I had 55 guys on the team like you. He said, this is one of the hardest cuts I've ever had to do. He said, your heart is so huge. I saw you stay with the fans and how you stayed for hours in the rain signing autographs till the last one left. That's why I played the game, man, because I wanted to do it for people, for young guys and girls who have a dream.
Right.
That's why I played the game. I played the game for my friends and my family. It was more for them than it was for me because I took everybody for the ride with me.
Right. Let me ask you a question. Let me
Yeah.
ask you a question. And thanks so much for, taking time to share such a beautiful story. We hear the stories about Kirk Warner, and believe me, that your story is right next to his, if not above his. Do you really think? Do you? What do you think? I know this is a hypothetical question, but how do you think your life would have been had you not taken that opportunity to test the waters in the NFL? Because in America, that's what everybody that plays that sport wants, to get that opportunity. You became that one. You became that X. Why not me? Why not give an opportunity? And the two-part question here is, what did you learn from that? Getting that opportunity, putting yourself in the position to get that. And then I know there's times where you think, now you reflect and go, what if I didn't? What if I had just stayed here and been the legacy or the poster child for the Canadian League?
Whenever I go to the games, and I always try to watch an Argo game, and when I do, unfortunately, the crowd they remember me, and they always called me their oh man, I can't remember the words that they said to me, but I was one of the darling. They called me the darling of the Toronto Argonauts, and so many of the fans said, "I wish you never left, because you would have had an entire career." And they also said that you fell to the NFL jinx, where a lot of guys leave, and then when they come back, their careers are I don't know. I don't know what the word I'm trying to look for, but
Not the same.
I don't believe in that stuff, man. I know in my heart that if I didn't, even though I didn't want to leave, I know in my heart that if I didn't at least try, I think it would have ate at me, because I always said to myself, I don't want to grow old thinking what if. I'm 55 years old now. I'm still young. I'm getting
Mhm.
there. But with that said, I always said I didn't want to be 75, 80 years old, sitting in a rocking chair, watching the game on TV and listening to somebody's story that's similar to mine, and then sit there and say, what if I would have went just a little bit further?
Mm.
So do I have regrets? No. Do I think that my career in Toronto and in the Canadian Football League would have been different? Yeah. But let's put it this way. I have something that I treasure for my entire life. Something that I can pass down to my daughter when I'm gone.
Mhm.
I inspired in this ring, dreams come true. I would have not experienced this if it wasn't for what I went through. I went through so, Drake, the only way to really, and again, please don't, I'm trying to give you as much as I can right now, like in a window.
Mhm.
When I wrote this, I wrote this with my heart. Everything that happened to me is in there. After Buffalo, 2003, I was with Toronto. All hell broke loose in 2004. My dad got diagnosed with Parkinson's. My mom had left my dad in 2000. They got divorced. My dad had Parkinson's in 2003, going into 2004. My mother-in-law got diagnosed with colon cancer. My father-in-law got diagnosed with colon cancer. My wife got diagnosed with colon cancer. My mom had a major seizure.
Wow.
So 2004, next thing you know, I get the call. And my wife's in a hospital recovering from surgery. And I couldn't say no. I had just got into a car accident with my daughter, had a concussion. I didn't tell anybody anything except for Michael Pinball Clements, the head coach. That was it. He's the only one that knew.
Mm.
He said, maybe you should be at home. I says, they told me to be here. I played a semi-final game against Hamilton. We win. They go to the Grey Cup. Thank God that their kicker healed, Noel Prefontaine healed. They took me along for the ride. We win the Grey Cup.
Wow.
Next thing you know, I knew I wasn't entitled to a ring because they had me on the practice roster, but they wanted me to be still with the team. The
Right.
captain said, if he doesn't get a ring, we don't want a ring. How
Wow.
do you
How do you?
how do you
Yeah.
say that? How do you say that? Andre, how do you say that? There's guys that played that game for 12, 13 years, bro, and never even been to the playoffs. And they're the captain of the team, and they're saying if he doesn't get one, we don't want one. Come on,
Yeah.
man. Tell
Yeah.
me again that when guys are done and they want to come back, that people say that it's for the money. You'll never win that battle with me. You do it for those 55 guys in the room, that family, that bond. It don't matter what color you are, what race you are. It doesn't matter. We are all brothers. We bleed together. We go to war together every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, whenever the game is.
How did? How
I
did?
will ever be grateful to those guys to have this.
How did you? And congratulations on that, and congratulations for
Thank
now finding a family that see your worth. They saw
Yeah,
your worth. They saw the determination. The coaches that gave you that inspiration, especially Wayne Phillips. I mean, like, wow. For him to even say the words that he said was, to me, is totally impactful. He's one of my favorite coaches. But let's move a little bit further before we wrap up.
yeah.
you was dealing with a lot of family crisis, and you had health issues that you was dealing with yourself. How did you manage to put everything? How did you manage to keep everything uh, uh, in order to keep things from going completely out of control? Because right now you're dealing with health issues with family members, your wife, and then unfortunately you're dealing with health issues unforeseen happening to you as well.
For me, I'll use me for first of all. Um, I can only say this about myself. I had a massive heart attack. I had the Widowmaker in 2020. The doctor said I should have died from that right there in the studio.
Mm-hmm.
I drove myself to the hospital. I had the surgery. And again, I'm really fast forwarding all the way through this. And the doctors, all three of them said, we saved you by 10 minutes. We would have lost you on the table. 2022, they can only say that this was because of the vaccine, because of the heart attack. After the heart attack, I was being tested every 3 months, blood work, everything. So that would pick up blood clots and the whole 9 yards.
Mm-hmm.
I had a massive stroke. They call it a level 17. And again, I think when you and I were talking, I said to you over here, the way they grade it, a level 10 is permanent disability and paralysis.
Mm-hmm.
I had a level 17. By the grace of God, I was found on the floor at my fitness studio. And they called the ambulance. The ambulance came and picked me up. By the time they picked me up, I was completely paralyzed on my right side of my body.
Mm.
I couldn't speak. And I was starting to black out. I woke up in ICU in Niagara Falls, and they flew down the highway to Hamilton where they did my surgery there. They administered the shot, the clot buster. And by the grace of God, 5 minutes before I went through the doors to get brain surgery, next thing you know, my arm shot up. That's the picture in the book at the bottom right here. My daughter was in the ambulance and my arm shot up. So she took that picture of me. I was opening and closing my hand. I couldn't believe it. I had no idea what happened.
Mm.
So I had two of the most major things that you can have with relating to heart disease that I should have died from, and I'm still here. And just really blessed to be on your show and to do a lot of amazing things right now. They're doing a documentary on my book and possibly a Hollywood movie. We just lost my mother-in-law 2 years ago to cancer. We lost my father-in-law 13 years ago to cancer. We lost my dad 5 years ago. Not because of Parkinson's, but actually because he was full of cancer. We didn't know. I'm honored to be here with you today and to have this opportunity to do this with you. So I thank you.
No, thank you. I can relate. We shared off camera
Yeah.
almost a similar journey.
Yeah.
Different sports, but the similar journeys of, um, so to speak. And I remember, like I said, having a stroke that was related to um, hydrocortisone shot. Um, I know the fear. Believe me, I know the fear,
Yeah.
but I also know the rejoice and to realize that we're here to continue the mission, and you have a mission, and
Definitely.
that mission is definitely one of empowerment. And I think by listening to your story, the game changer was small, but it resonated big, and it was that poster where
Yeah.
you saw those words,
Yeah.
and decided to change the word, to change the narrative. And from that moment, man, your life just took off. When you look back at everything that's happened to you, and I know people may say, why would I ask this? But would you change
But
anything?
I'm gonna say this to you. First, to football. People say, man, if you would have did good in school and you would have actually went and wrote your SATs because you actually would have written them and went to you actually would have went to school in the States and played in the NFL. I wouldn't be the man that I am today if I would have took that route. The
Mm-hmm.
man before playing football was lost. I was only focused on one thing and one thing only. I had tunnel vision for one thing.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as whenever I do my motivational speaking, I call it my 3 whys. And I can actually attest this to both the heart attack and the stroke. My first why was, and it was, why me? Why me? Life was good. Life was so good. I didn't have to be on all this medication. And I used to be able to work out, like, lifting heavy. And the second why for me was, why me? Life was so good. I'm a good person. Why did this
Mm-hmm.
happen to me? And then you literally get angry at God, like, why? The last why is, why not me? I'm no better than
Wow.
you. I'm no better than that person sitting over there. The best thing that ever happened to me, Andre, was my heart attack and my stroke. I always used to say, everything in life happens for a reason. For the longest time, I couldn't figure it out. I could not figure it out. That's why. Because now I get an opportunity to go inspire people. I get an opportunity to go out there and be an example to everybody out there, especially men,
Mm-hmm.
that this can, if it can
Why,
happen to me, and
why,
I'm nobody special, if it can happen to me,
right.
it can happen to you. Take care of
So why
yourself.
especially men? So why especially men, Denny?
I find that ever since my heart attack, I've had about 5 or 6 guys message me and say to me, I don't know if you realize this, but you saved my life. And I'm like, how? Because when you had your heart attack, you told me you had no symptoms at all, but you said you weren't feeling right. And you said,
Mm-hmm.
just go get checked. Worst case
Right.
scenario, doctor says, you're great. In one case, one of the guys put it off, and he had the widowmaker also, and almost died. In another case, a guy had to get a
Mm.
quadruple bypass surgery. And I'm finding that a lot of men, unfortunately, in men, oh, I'm okay. I just heartburn. Oh, I hurt my chest yesterday working out. It's radiating through my back, but I read on it. That's all it is. Go to the
Mhm.
doctor. Don't be, you know. I'm a tough guy. Go get checked. And that's all I'm trying to tell people. Now, with that said, does it happen to women? Absolutely, 100%. But for
Mhm.
me, it's the men that are reaching out to me and talking to me about it.
That is, you're 100% right. Because like I shared with you, I was at the gym, working out, and I thought it was just because I was lifting a lot of heavy weights, and I kept feeling this thing in my left side, and I just took my fist and bam, bam, hitting it.
Yeah,
Even, even like I said, even when I went to the bathroom and got home and I saw my eye was drooping, I just thought it was from stress. I was
yeah,
like, "Oh, this is stress." I put cold pass. I just relaxed. Then the
right.
symptoms kept coming and coming, and before I knew it, it took a neurologist, Dr. Christy George, that was like, "Hey, you need to. I'm checking you in the hospital right now. You had a stroke." And I said, "A what?" And sure enough, It was. I'm not sure what the level was, but I know that they did share with me this, and I shared this with you. Because of my years as being an athlete and professional bodybuilder, it saved my life because the damage wasn't as bad because my heart muscles were really thick. But not saying that it couldn't have been worse, but it made me realize this can happen to anybody. You know, I mean, anybody. Just even
Amen.
somebody as fit as we are, it can happen to you with, and we need to pay attention. We need to go get check out. And the trip out part, Danny, on top of that, I had just had a physical and was completely fine, but because it happened from an injection, even doctors don't know what something could do to you. It's like you got the
Exactly.
COVID spot. I got an injection that now it's in my chart. Do not give Andre hydrochlorosteroid because it can have me in the same situation with having another stroke.
Yeah. Yeah. You never know,
Before,
man. You just never
yeah,
know.
thank you so much for taking time out, and I definitely got to have you come back because just talking to you is it's funny. I tell people all the time on my show, we all are connected if we just listen and not judge, but just listen to somebody's story, and you will find a little bit of yourself, if not a lot of yourself, tied up into that same journey that person is going through. Danny, how can the viewers reach out to you, get your book, and support you and follow your journey?
Well, the book itself is Be That One. It's by myself. So if you get it on Amazon, Be That One, Dan Giancola. Um, everything like I said, unfortunately, there's never enough time at any podcast or anything that you do. I've even told, even with the documentary, it's going to take a little bit. But I'm also on. I think you guys are going to put it up on there later. But I'm on Facebook, Instagram. Um, you can put my email up there. It's not the most professional. It's me, my wife, and my daughter.com. And I'm a little bit on TikTok right now, but that's the way that you can get it. But honestly, man, if people want to be, I can honestly say to you that this book inspires me. And I've only read it once, front to back, when I had to proof it, because
Right.
still, unfortunately, my mental health is nowhere near what it once was, and my PTSD kind of kicks into play. But I have to read it. I got no choice because I got to do a documentary. So if you guys want the full story, right there.
Denny, thank you so much for taking time out. We'll make sure we put the link to getting the book on your episode. Once again, I'm going to have you come back. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you click, like, subscribe. All it takes is one click to make a difference in somebody's life or to change your own life. This has been another, and I do mean another, exciting episode of the Andre the Beast Crayton Show.